the mic next time. Tell all the pieces are just about me. I'm just going to sit right there and take it all in. Next up on the mic, please give it up for my soul sister. She likes to spend as much time in dirt as I do, and we are dirt workmen, tree huggers together. Who am I talking about? Philip J. Curtis. He already knows. Give it up for Heather, y'all. Yeah! And Facebook and still listening and still getting to know this you. Blue paper.
Blue paper. Hard stock nonetheless. It's I took this really awesome class when I was in college. It was an American cultural studies through music called From Puritan to Punk, with heavy emphasis on Motown because that's where we were and where I'm from. So this is actually my final for that class. So just keep in mind that it is a fictional story, of course, but all the people and all the occurrences that are in it are real. So, I saw footsteps on the sidewalk as I was coming around the corner. Their tread was deep and warm with grease like they'd been traced before, so I followed them around the bend and back into the alley, and I heard the beat of tapping feet coming down the Paradise Valley. Lyon and Hampton were flying home to the Southland saxophone, and the audience was screaming as inhibition was leaving to the blinking beat of the marquee. Myself I found in my same old town, but the scene around me was changing. A flame was lit as power hammer hits invited a working migration from the south by word of mouth to our new automotive nation. The buildings surrounding were the remembrance of founding fathers and times of old, when secrets were hidden and thinking forbidden and faith was bought and sold. The streets looked familiar, but like a game of billiards had been pocketed years ago, though the sound remained, recorded or trained, and now only played on public radio. Well, I knew by now, but not quite how, those footsteps traced back in time. So I reconciled in single file I joined the patients in line. The flyers read like Wonder Bread, fashioned to cultural acceptance, and the names were Southern, and I could hear my grandmother cursing cotton pink. There were black and white faces inside places holding their instruments proud, and the notes were emanating, addressing, stagnating, world fair and sound. Then suddenly I tripped, and as backward I slipped, the faces around me changed. The gravestone I saw, but after my fall, the sign above read flames. And some guy was talking over baritones blocking about last night's show, and I didn't understand how time had changed hands, but I stopped asking questions for minutes ago. So I paid the man at the stand and entered a world of perfection. Musicians donned on their sleeves the talented leaves of their music of introspection, hiding behind lyrics like wartime barracks dressed in sex for slavery, when once regarded as mentally retarded, they found a backdoor address for travesty. Their creative retort was of a bubblegum sort that could touch any man's soul. This was pre-rock, mainly gospel and pop, with money brought in from polka. I ordered a drink and was saved from a fink by a little guy who called himself Beans. He had a briefcase, and I could tell by his face that he knew all about the scene. He took care of the check and spoke of the wrecks that happened south of the Mason-Dixon line, and I can remember old-timers with the Freedom Riders causing a ruckus at that time. Well, he had his loot in a holder and a flute through his shoulder, and he was still on the clock and scared. We wandered over a farmer like a knight in denim armor, and Beans could see he was a character. And so knowing the restrictions of Southern convictions in regard to a man's skin, he gave this farmer his case till tomorrow to bring to his hospital of kin. And sure as he knew what that farmer would do, his loot had been returned. And when asked of his contents, the farmer's response was to thank Beans for the trust he had learned. We were surrounded by spirits whose Motown lyrics I'd heard growing up in the D. The Fortune Browns were collecting sounds, and Billy was hanging with Barry. DJ set the stage for what should be played to every Johnny who had a transistor, and the working class was coming up fast, forming calluses over their blisters. There was a grit and grime, the singing in time that was quick and strong in gestation, and hard work was the goal, with no resolve for more because comfort didn't call for concentration. With a cone here like Hades, I excused to the ladies, and I noticed the footsteps again. So I turned and waved and bid good day to my newfound informative friend. My right foot was planted as time began slanted. Now a freeway occupied the space. My steps traced back to the city I knew, but not quite up to my gate. And there were these kids on the corner who said for a quarter they'd beatbox a ditty for me. So gladly I paid them and gratefully thanked them for sharing their story with me. My eyes sailed up with their to the top of a building in shambles. A business that fell when greed did well as it succumbed to betrayal and scandals. The flame had burned out, and the men applauded Moosey, California. The windows were bare. It was set in the air. Remember how Mom had warned you? Don't go by yourself if you value your health. It's dangerous downtown these days. The school system's dropping and government swapping and violence is coming in waves. But these kids on the street are finding their beat. Music will escape even if they're big. They're rhythmically adapting to their inner city seconds when they're running their way out of it. It started to rain little slivers of pain, so I dodged into the bookstore. It smelled of old paper, a deep rust to savor, and 4 stories to explore. There were footprints on the stairs leading to a pair who had digging through old 45s. They said, the name is Jack, and as a matter of fact, the best news came before we were alive. It was easy for him to hide his skin because he always got out of the crowd. He was a hipster who called his wife sister and spoke his convictions proud. Modern man in corporate hands, goodbye weird old America. He copied the tag and hung a flag and got harassed by the people from this area. On his home stretch, it was hard-fetched that we couldn't see its attachments. Just a generation earlier, a storyteller later put our backseat in defense. You people of cars, it's not so far back in our own history that those Rhino boys died as their mothers cried when we watched it on our TVs. Has the steel encased us, so firmly embraced us that we can no longer see what's growing and hot in a crucible pot and bursting at every seam. We live here to work, and from the time of our birth, the hot sweat is mightier than brains. And then we age here quickly, senile, sickly, while resentment flows through our veins. Again on the floor, the path once more presented me an exit, so I followed back the long day's tracks and pondered while in transit. I heard concrete souls whose stories told the rising of the city, where 4 generations from varying nations came to make their living. And I felt blessed in this beautiful mess to be a part of something so deep. And it's been a long day. What can I say? I really should have some sleep.